All right, peace. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, give honor and praise to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. Give a double honors to 7130 South Chicago that taught me this truth. Give a double honors to all the brothers and sisters that the Creator has awoken in these last days. With that being said, peace and shalom. All right, brothers and sisters, we're going to go on. We're going to go over this article I've been reading. I've been doing my due diligence and looking at certain things that's taking place on the world stage. And one of the things that's taking place on the world stage is the further emergence of what you would call the BRICS nations, right? And this is an article that's written by Silk Road Briefing, right? So the article is basically about the BRICS. Now, if people don't know what the BRICS are basically an acronym of 5 countries that came together for the common for the sole purpose of coming against the U.S. currency. So the B stands for Brazil, the R stands for Russia, the I stands for India, the C stands for China, and the S stands for South Africa. So what's happening is these nations have come together, like I said, for the common goal of coming against the U.S. currency. And well, what is the significance of them coming together, and how would that affect the currency? It's going to affect the currency, brothers and sisters, or the global the everyday living of the American people, is because you got to understand that America, these countries, they used to solely do trade with America, but now they're venturing out and they're doing trade with other countries, namely like Russia and China, right? But let's read the article and then we're going to expound on it, right? So it says, if accepted, the new proposed BRICS members will create an entity with a GDP 30% larger than the United States, over 50% of global population, and in control of 60% of global gas reserves. And see, this is one of the reasons why the gas be going up and down and stuff like that, is because, a lot of these countries, they do trade with America. And when is America is upset with these nations, sometimes, a lot of times she puts sanctions on the nations. And sometimes when they put sanctions on the nations, sometimes it have an effect on the economy. It's because sanctions is just a fancy word of starving out other nations. And then some nations can't deal with it. And then some nations, they can deal with it. And what they do is they'll put sanctions on America, meaning that they don't want to trade with them. They would trade with other countries and things of this nature, like China or Russia and things of this nature. Because in the BRICS, the leading top dogs is China and Russia. So the other three, they just fall in suit. But what's happening is you have other countries. I think it's about 10 or 12, 10 more countries, or maybe 12, they have joined the BRICS also. So when we look at what you would call World War III and things of this nature, this is the beginning stages of World War III, is because um one of the ways to weaken the country is by you gotta crash the economy. See, you gotta crash the economy. And that's a way that you can kind of weaken them. See? So Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa coming together. This is them basically coming against the US currency. And this is an act of war from an economic standpoint of view. But most of us today, we don't even pay attention that she's basically on her way out. See? And most of this is really prophesied by the Creator. And we're going to get those scriptures. But we're looking at the collapse of the American society is because America is what you would call the final form of the Roman Empire. This is who America is. So let's look at the scripture. This is the 24th chapter of the book of Matthews, and I'm going to start reading at the 36th verse. It says, "But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only." So who is speaking? See, this is really Yah speaking through Yahshua. Because brothers and sisters, Jesus, Yahshua, they are not the firstborn of creation. The firstborn, the only begotten son, is really the what we will call the tetragrammaton, or Yah, or Yahweh, or Yehovah. See, that's who the firstborn of creation is. So Yah is living a human existence through the lens and the mindset of Yahshua. See, they was one. So when Yahshua was speaking to the nation of Israel, the Creator was speaking through Yahshua. See, and he's telling the nation of Israel that don't nobody know the time that that basically the Gentile world power system is going to be destroyed except the Father. See, so y'all don't even know. But check this out, the 37th verse, it says, "But as the days of Noah was, so shall also," it says, "But as the days of Noah was, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." And like I say, who is the Son of Man? Really, the Son of Man is Yah himself. That's who the Son of Man is. See? And it says, "For as," 38, "for as in the days that," it says, "for as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage." Now, what does that mean? Because a lot of times Yahshua says things and he's under the influence of the Creator, but he's speaking in what? He's speaking in parables, brothers and sisters. So what is the parable when it's talking about eating, drinking, and marrying and giving in marriage? What does that mean? That means how the society, right? How the society has adopted the ways of the ways and the culture of the society at that time, and they living deliciously. See, and that's how we are today. See, we can go, especially the so-called Negro. He can go into uh, what's that? He can go into these big time luxurious stores that used to say that he couldn't come in there at first. Now he can go up in there and spend $3,000, $10,000 on clothes. See, and this is the mentality that we have. See, we so caught up in the everyday living, money, fame, prestige, that we don't even see the collapse and the fall of the society. See, because we have married ourselves with the society. We live in every day. We have adopted the culture and the mindset of the people. See, and not just us, but humanity. So he referring this back to the time of Noah is because that's how the people was living back then too. They was living like that, and he was preaching the gospel, and they thought the man was crazy. You know, they thought he was crazy. And then another thing too, they thought he was crazy because he was building an ark on dry land because he said it was gonna rain, and it had never rained before. See, when we look at rain today, rain was basically rain was basically a weapon of mass destruction to destroy the inhabitants because during the time of Noah, it had never rained. So he said that the people was gonna be wiped off the scene through rain. Well, if it didn't rain, brother, then how did you get water to water the plants and all this type of stuff? Because originally the land, all these lands, they was connected to one another, and it was what? It was surrounded by great pools of water. It was probably like maybe 95 or 90% water and maybe 10 or 5% land. So a lot of times, like the water, the moisture from the water and stuff like that, that's how the vegetation kept up. But because of global warming and climate change and people building things, now we got all these different continents and stuff like that. But see, during the time of Noah, it had never rained before. So the people, they didn't believe him. And they was fully immersed and engulfed into the society. So Noah supposedly died at 127 years. So pretty much a great deal of his life, he preached the gospel, which was basically a judgment message to the inhabitants, and they didn't listen. And see, we're preaching the gospel today, and the people, they're not gonna listen. It's because they're gonna continue to think that the society that we're living in is gonna last forever. See, or if it's gonna fall, it's not gonna fall in our lifetime. This is what we say. But we see the fall of America today because the countries, the nations, they through with America. See, they through with America. And see, a lot of these countries, they have invested, see, a lot of their goods and services in America, and they taken a lot of their goods and services out of America. And see, once they continue to do this, and once the currency that the Brics are creating right now, once that currency continue to strengthen, America's currency is going to decrease. And it's going to have a global effect on the economy. And look, it's already happening. That's why your gas prices is going up. It's because the countries around about, they're putting sanctions on America just as well. See? But the reason why America is still afloat right now is because she still has a grip on the societies, but now she's starting to lose it. But let's continue the scripture. That For as in the days that there were before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, because he preached the gospel during his time which is a judgment message to the society, they didn't believe him. They thought the man was crazy until he went into the ark. Because if you notice, the destruction didn't start until Noah went into the ark. So the Creator was doing what during that time? He was holding the four winds until it was time for Noah, until the time of the gospel, that it wasn't going to be preached anymore. So when it stopped being preached and Noah went into the ark, this is when what? This is when destruction happened to the people. And see, what is the ark that we building today, the nation of Israel? We're building what you would call a spiritual ark. See? And what are we trying to do? We're trying to get out of the way of destruction. See, brothers and sisters, I'm talking about the so-called black man. To see, you're going to have to return back to who you were before slavery. Because it's going to come a time that you're going to have to leave America. That's if the Creator wake you up from a spiritual standpoint of view. And for all the people that the Creator don't wake up, you're going to be left here. And see, you're going to see the bombs dropping from these other countries, and you're going to see America shooting her bombs off. See, this is the destruction that's coming along. So it says 39, and knew not until the flood came and took all of them away. See? So also shall the coming of the Son of Man be. So what is the new flood that's going to happen? It's going to be nuclear destruction. That's the new flood. Because the first flood, the Creator destroyed the inhabitants by what? By water. See? But now the Creator is going to destroy the inhabitants by what? Nuclear fire. That's what's going to happen to the. That's what's going to happen to America. See, America is going to be destroyed off of the face of the map. America, Canada, the state of Israel, Australia, and South Africa. See, and a lot of the other countries that's going to be fighting, they're going to be tremendously impacted by World War III. See, I'm talking about the physical aspect of it. The countries is going to be devastated because when they start to shoot these nuclear bombs off, people is going to be severely destroyed, man. But see, the reason why I went to this scripture is because most of us today, we're not paying attention to the events that's taking place on the world stage. See, we're worried about rap music. We worried about the playoffs. We worried about, we happy because we went out and voted for Brandon Johnson. See, we invested into the system. And see, those individuals is not going to save you because look, the whole planet and the inhabitants of the people, they corrupt, man. All of them, they corrupt. See? And this is why it behooves the so-called Negro to return back to his ancient ancestral cultural roots. See? So that he can have an explanation on why he's in this condition. But let's continue to read the article. It says the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, has stated that over a dozen countries have formally applied to join the Brics grouping following the group's decision to allow new members earlier this year. So not only is the five are they joining the BRICS, but you got 10 other nations that just came amongst it. See, And you got new membership. I think the last time I checked a couple of days, Japan and Pakistan, they just joined too. See? So why is these people do it? Because see, America had a foot on their neck. And they know that they can't defeat America head up. So what are they doing? They're aligning themselves with Russia and China because Russia and China have established themselves as a global front that's going to challenge America. See? So what the countries are doing, they still doing trade with America, but eventually they're going to stop doing trade with America. See? When this Brics thing started to hit, because what is Russia doing? They're selling oil for cheap prices. So now you have these nations, they coming to Russia to buy oil for cheaper prices. And the Russians and the Chinese, what they're doing is they have created their own currency, right? And they're not using the American currency. They're using their own currency. They're gonna build a central banking system, right? That's going to be conducive to all the BRICS members. Just like you got the IMF and all this type of stuff that's giving out loans and things of this nature. They're going to establish that in the banking system, and they're going to be giving out loans and things of this nature to other nations, and they're gonna use their currency, whatever currency that they bring out. That's what the currency is going to be. And the more that currency increases its value, the more America's currency is going to decrease, and the more that they currency is going to lose their value. So, in retrospect, that's a flood within itself. See, it's because as the American currency falls, your way of living is going to fall, and people are going to be gravely impacted by that. We already impacted by it now. That's why your food, that's why your food is expensive. This is why the gas prices keep going up. This is why your gas be going up is because see the nations around the world they have an effect on the economy that we living in today. So it says the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov have stated that over a dozen countries have formally applied to join the BRICS grouping following the group's decision to allow new members early this year. The BRICS currently includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. It says it is not a free trade bloc, but members do coordinate on trade matters and have established a policy bank. It says they call it the New Development Bank to coordinate infrastructure loans. Just like I just said, they're gonna be dealing with loans and things of this nature, and it's probably gonna be more easier to get those loans than what you would get from America. It says that was set up in 2014 in order to provide alternative loan mechanism from the IMF and the World Bank structures. But see, look, brothers and sisters, see the other countries, the other nations, they've been trying to do this for the past 20 some years. They've been trying to do this. See, this is why America had to go in and topple Muammar Gaddafi. Is because Muammar Gaddafi was trying to do this too. But see, you know why Muammar Gaddafi wasn't really successful is because he didn't have weapons of mass destruction. See, he didn't have that. He didn't have nuclear weapons. That and why you say that is because when you have nuclear weapons, the other countries they're gonna respect you. That's why America hasn't. That's why she ain't ran in on Russia and China because they got nuclear weapons and they got just as many nuclear weapons as they do. So So one of the ways for them to weaken China and Russia is by doing what? Putting sanctions on them. But those sanctions is not working anymore is because why? They have they have structured themselves to a point whereas they can survive without the American dollar because they have a lot of stuff invested into the country just well. You gotta look at it. Majority of the goods that is being made here is being made in China. See? So we're looking at the fall of the Roman Empire, which is who? America. It says the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, AIIB, was set up by China at about the same time for largely the same reasons and to offer alternative financing than that provided by IMF and World Banks. It says, which were felt to impose political reform policies designed to assist the United States in return for providing loans. It says both the NDB and the AIIB banks are triple A rated and capitalized at US dollars of a hundred billion. The NDB bank shares are held equally to each of the five members. In total, the Brics grouping, as it currently stands, accounts for 40% of the global population. That's a lot, see? So they have the pulse of the community. You got a lot of these nations, they seeing how powerful Russia and China is, and these other countries that has aligned themselves with her. Now, what are they doing? They following suit. It's because look, America really has these countries in slavery. This is why they're fighting against America. Let's look at a scripture. Joel 3, the ninth verse. It says, proclaim ye this amongst the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty man, and let all the men of war draw near, and let them come up. Who is the man of war today? We looking at Russia, China, India, Brazil, South Africa. See, we looking at these nations today. See, because they at some point they was weak nations at first. They couldn't stand before America. But now they starting to stand before America. And they not just doing it from a military standpoint of view, they doing it from what? An economical standpoint of view because they're builders just as well, especially China. China is all up in Africa buying up all the land. And they building hotels and things of this nature. See, we already see these things taking place. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say, I am what? Strong. See, and that's what we looking at today. These countries are putting aside their petty differences and they're leaning on each other to make themselves strong against America and their allies, which is the European Common Market System. And when it says beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks, and what is that? Because you know plowshares and pruning hooks are what? Farming tools. So now they're taking the farming tools and they're making weapons out of it. And what are we talking about? We talking about the natural resources that's in the ground, brothers and sisters. Now these weak countries, they have usurped themselves from um, a military standpoint of view. Now they got what? They got nuclear bombs too. They got nuclear bombs too. And see, they gonna use those things. We see North Korea. We see we see all these countries. They testing their bombs. We see Russia selling bombs to Uzbekistan and all this type of stuff. See, not Uzbekistan, but they sell arms to well, I forgot what country it is right now. I think it's Turkey, but they sell nuclear arms to other nations. See, just like America do, and they are some of the ones that is helping Iran build their nuclear infrastructure. So all these weak nations that was once weak, they starting to build themselves up. What? Economically and what? Militarily, and they gonna come against her. That's why we telling them. That's why we telling our people is that what the 18th chapter of the book of Revelation says what? Come out of her, my people, and don't be partakers of her what? Her plagues. It's because these are plagues that is happening to America, brothers and sisters. Now it says, in total, the BRICS groupings, as it currently stands, accounts 40 for over 40% of the global population. So that's a lot of nations that's trying to get on board with the BRICS thing. And nearly a quarter of the world's GDP, the GDP figures is expected to double 50% of global GDP by 2030. Expanding BRICS will immediately accelerate that process. It says concerning a BRICS expansion, Lavrov stated that Algeria, Argentina, Iran had all applied. Now they coming on with the BRICS. While it has already known, it says while it is already known that Saudi Arabia still do business with America. They still sell their oil to America. Cause look, Saudi Arabia is one of the major um, contributors of oil to the country. Now Saudi Arabia and America is going back and forth, and now Saudi Arabia is doing business with Russia and China. See, they starting to because Russia and China they got infrastructure too. See, most of these countries was weak and stuff like that because see they got a lot of oil, they got natural resources in the ground and things of this nature, but they don't have really no infrastructure to be able to take the natural resources out of the ground and to turn it into things that they can do trade with other countries. They don't really have the infrastructure like that. See, America have that, but now China and Russia they starting to have it too. You know, they tried to put tariffs and all this type of sanctions on them and all this type of stuff. See, it's not working no more because now they're able to stay afloat as a nation without basically the assistance of America. Because they still do things with America too. But now they're gonna start to take their inventions and stuff like that, they're gonna take it out of America. And they're gonna start selling their inventions and stuff like that to other countries. And what you think that it's gonna do to this economy? It's gonna further weaken the economy. And this is what we looking at today. Algeria, Argentina, Iran had all applied, while it is already known that Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, Afghanistan are interested, along with Indonesia, which is expected to make a formal application to join at the upcoming G20 summit in Bali. But see, we're not looking at the news on this type of level. See, I'm talking about the people that's eating and drinking and being married. They not we not looking at this. See, we don't care about these things. And this is what I'm saying is that this stuff here is going to have a major effect on how you move and shake in the future in this economy. Because believe it or not, brothers and sisters, we are in World War III as we speak. But we dealing with World War III from an economical standpoint of view. We're looking at economical warfare. So it says other likely contender. It says other likely contenders for membership includes Kazakhstan, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Senegal, Thailand, and the United Arab Emirates. All had their finance minister present at the Brics expansion dialogue meeting held in May. So these countries, man, they moving. So those are the other countries that's gonna join the BRICS. And look, they gonna join. They gonna be successful. And as they start to increase, right, in numbers, and their currency start to increase in value, what you think gonna happen to the American dollar? It's gonna continue because the American dollar is not backed by anything. That's the whole point of the Federal Reserve banking system. Because when America came over here and took the land from the native indigenous people of the country, they set up their currencies, their currency just as well. And see, their currency was backed by gold and silver. But when the Federal Reserve banking system took over around 1933, they started the process of doing what? Making all of the people what you would call debt slaves. And they removed the gold standard off of the money. See? And then they furthered the situation, I believe, in the 1960s under President Nixon to take what? The silver standard off of the money. So now the money right now is backed by the Federal Reserve banking system and the military. It's not backed by gold anymore. Your money that you sitting around here uh, worshiping like a god, it don't really have value to it. The only value it have is the banking system and the military. And when we talk about the military, we're talking about how America has went around the world controlling these other nations, having these nations to do business with her and using the American dollar as the currency. Now the nations are taking their wealth out of the country, and the dollar is decreasing. See? And what you think that's gonna start? That's why they keep talking about inflation. Inflation, ladies and gentlemen, is nothing but another form of America losing her grip over other countries. This is how this is working. And a lot of these folks, a lot of us is gonna be we caught up, we already dealing with this. We caught up in the middle of it. This is why the so-called black man gotta return to his culture, and he gotta start the process of leaving America. See? Because if you don't leave and start to build structures with each other, you're going to be caught up in the middle of it and you're going to be destroyed. See? Let's look at this. Revelations, the 17th chapter, verses 16. It says, and the 10 horns, who is the 10 horns today? That's the European common market system, which thou sawest upon the beast. See? And who is the beast? That's the Roman Empire. These shall hate the whore. And who is the whore today? Who is coming into the spirit of the Roman Empire? It's America. It's because America came out of the Roman Empire. I'm talking about the Europeans, George Washington, Frederick Douglass, what's his name? Benjamin Franklin, all those Englishmen. See, they came out of what you would call Europe, ladies and gentlemen. Europe was originally the old Roman Empire. See? And America is the final form of the Roman Empire. That's the that's the toes. See? Even though America is not a toe per se, but she has come out of what you would call the Roman Empire. See? The 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate, naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. What does that mean? Just like we just showing you right here, how the BRICS nations, how Russia, Brazil, China, India, South Africa, how they have come together to challenge America, America's economical system. And later on, she's going to challenge what? Her military. And America is not going to lay down. See, she gonna fight. But this is a war that she's going to lose. And the people, you're going to be gravely impacted by it. Because a lot of you, if the creator don't open up your understand, you're going to be ushered into the third world's war. See? So how they hate the whore is because why? What did America do? They set up a system on a false balance. They came over here to America. I mean, the Europeans, they came over here to America and they slaughtered the native what they call Indians. They slaughtered them. They went all over the world and they set up what you would call white supremacy amongst the dark nations. And some of these European they they put their own people in slavery. See, Iran, she hate the whore. Russia and China, they hate the whore. See, at one point they was a part of it, but now they doing what? They starting to fight against this. It's because America is arrogant. You don't do what I say, we're gonna put you in slavery. That's what sanctions is. You don't want to do what we talking about. All that money that you got in the ground, it'll just sit there. You'll be able to do certain things with other countries, but from a global standpoint of view, you ain't gonna be. You're nothing. You're nothing without us. We got the infrastructure. We got everything. And if you're not gonna deal with what we talking about, then what? We gonna keep you in the Stone Age. Look what they did to Cuba. When President Kennedy and them lost the war against the Cubans, the Bay of Pigs, they lost the war. They say, you know what? Since you're not gonna allow us to come over to your country, take the drugs, all the cocaine and all this type of stuff out of the country, so that we can build our medical pharmaceutical companies and our industries and stuff like. Since you're not gonna let us do this, then what are we gonna do to you? We're gonna put you niggas in the Stone Age. We're not gonna do no trade with you. Any inventions that we create, we're not gonna do nothing with y'all. That's why Cuba is over there. They still riding cars from the 1930s. See, they don't have nothing over there really, and they are rich in natural resources too, but they don't have the infrastructure to be able to pull the money out of the ground and to build certain things. They don't really have that. Them people don't even really have the internet over there like that. See, they in the dark. See, this is what sanctions look like. Give you another example. Over there in Venezuela. Venezuela is another one. America, because the Venezuelan people did not want to denounce their support for the president. I think his name was Maduro. I think that's what his name was, or another guy. See, they wanted to put another president in the country because let's go a little bit further. Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez was the president of Venezuela, and America wanted to control Venezuela, and they didn't want to do that. Look, we'll do business with y'all, but you ain't finna come over here controlling everything. What happened? They got rid of Hugo Chavez. Allegedly, he died of cancer. And then his guy was set up as the president. I think his name was Maduro. I think that's his name is. And he's been leading the country. He's still the president. They wanted to sit him down. He ain't want to do it. They crashed the economy. Now all those people you saw lines of people trying to uh pull a lot of their money or put money into the banks and all this type. The money was nothing but toilet paper. Because who was the ones that was keeping the country of afloat? It was America. They crashed their economy. And all that money that they had. You had the poor, you had the rich, and you had the middle class. They was all outside and they were suffering. You had millions upon millions of people leaving Venezuela. They was going to nearby countries to seek asylum because the people was starving, y'all. They was breaking in the zoos. They was killing the lions. They was killing the animals because they didn't have nothing to eat. Do you understand that the women, young females at the ages of 12, 10 years old, they was out prostituting just so they can eat. See? And the people that still was holding themselves afloat, man, they put their foot on their people's neck. And who is that? It's the military of Venezuela. So when we look at sanctions, this is what sanctions is going to look like in America. Because the same thing that America was doing to these other countries is what eventually going to happen to her. See, she going to get punished. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, I just want to go over this article and go over a couple of scriptures that relates to the article of what you would call the BRICS nations. So with that being said, peace, shalom.